This is a Scribner Memorial Trustee meeting being held remotely as per, was it law number 12 or something like that, that Governor Sununu has passed. Having said that, we will begin our meeting with the members present. That needs to be a roll call. Lisa Rollins.
Here.
Walter Durack.
Present.
Dave Toth.
Here.
And Amanda Loud is also present. We do have a quorum. We will begin our meeting. We will begin it with the approval of the October minutes. I may have sent you the shorter version of minutes, which we did meet and quickly approved so we could get things moved from Vanguard. There were other minutes. We had a full meeting that October 12th. And I looked through the minutes again, Lisa. I found no problems with them. Perhaps we could, as I have been doing in the meetings, go through them as updates. The whole whistle thing with the oil tank at the library has been solved. There never was a whistle. It had to do with the fact that the exhaust pipe, I'm probably not using correct terminology, on the outside of the library was at about 6 feet. And the former driver, who has since retired, the former driver would bring a small step ladder and would get up and cover or whatever you do with the exhaust when you fill, and it all worked. Or he put his whistle stick down it. And that he got it tall. It was tall anyway, got up on the ladder, taller enough. And he put the whistle stick down the exhaust pipe and filled the tank. And he had been doing this way for years. Then he retired. And when he retired, the new driver was apparently not as tall and didn't have a step ladder. Why would he? He didn't know the drill and said that's where the whole whistle thing came to pass, that no, we need a So I was at the library getting the furnace inspected back last week, and I talked to the PEMI fuel guy there, and he gave me this whole backstory. And I texted Craig Moore quickly and said, I'm at the library. Can you come over now? And he did. And PEMI Fuels pulled out his Sawzall and cut down the exhaust pipe to 4 feet and put the cap back on and said, now we're set to go. So there we are. And it should have been filled. I called PEMI Fuels and asked for that tank to get filled. It should have been filled Monday or Tuesday. So I've been referring all bills to the Board of Selectmen. I guess while I'm thinking of it, I'll go ahead and talk about this now. We got a $32 bill, which was that very short fill on the tank when the new driver said there's no whistle. He had put in $32 worth of oil, so not much. And then I also got the monthly phone bill from something communications, consolidated communications. Yeah. So I have taken both of those bills to Charlie physically. I've handed them over to Charlie this morning. I also, as per Eli Badger's email to me, sent him and CC'd you guys on it, a list of our foreseeable expenses for the next 5 months, which is the roof, filling the oil tank, and the phone bills. So I was in the office briefly today with Charlie, and in discussing this $5,600 roofing bill, which I sent the invoice to the Board of Selectmen and CC Charlie on when I got it. Charlie said, and I agree with him, that we Scribners should probably be able to pay that out of our checking. We have 10,000 or so in our checking. Our funds have been frozen more or less by the Mitchell Group. They said, please don't spend any more of the trust. But our reasoning is that we started this roofing project back in June with bids and stuff. And so that was long before Mitchell froze our funds. So having said that, and the fact that there's no available line for this on either the town or the library trustees budgets at this point right now as we look at November. So I will be on the board, and I sent an email to Eli and Charlie to this effect. I CC'd you guys on it, and I did it just about an hour ago, and said I'll be on that BOS meeting Monday night asking for authorization to pay this invoice from our checking account. And I want that in the minutes of the BOS meeting as well. I just want the authorization. And to my understanding, guys, that's going to be like the last thing we do. We pay. I mean, it's done, you know, and all the bills, the phone bills now and the PIMI fuel bill will be going to the Board of Selectmen, since this has been frozen and is now at legal. So that's the oil tank. The super safe is all set up. PIMI fuel, we're all done. The furnace was cleaned. Everybody's happy. Thermostat's been programmed. That's going well. And of course, the last thing on these minutes had to do with our October 19th meeting, which we did attend, and the BOS sent the trust to legal. So having that said, that the next thing on the agenda is financial and investment reports.
Do we
So,
want to do the, do we want to approve the minutes though first?
oh yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's
So,
fine.
I have a motion then from Lisa to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? So all in favor? Oh, I have to do a roll call for this. Lisa Rollins. Are you in
Yeah.
favor? of approving?
Yeah, yes, yes, aye.
Dave Toth,
Aye.
Walter Durack,
Aye.
and Amanda Loud is also an aye. So the minutes have been approved. Next, we have our financial report. As I made mention, we have approximately $10,000 in our checking account at Maris's Village. We don't foresee spending much more money besides perhaps probably this final roofing invoice. Walter, do you want to have any updates on where everything stands with Vanguard?
Sure. So yesterday, Amanda, Dave, and I met at Meredith Village Savings Bank. We obtained a medallion signature guarantee, which is like a notary public seal, except that it comes with the backing of the bank's insurance policy and full faith in underwriting. So basically, they have financial stakes in this if something were to happen. Now I am ready to mail the forms to Vanguard because nothing with a trust can be done online. What I do know in my last conversation with Vanguard is that they will accept all of the mutual funds that are currently invested at Wells Fargo Advisors. However, 6 of them we could no longer purchase new shares of, which is not a problem. We weren't intending on keeping those mutual funds, but a dozen of them, if not all of them, incur transaction fees. So that means if we were to sell them once they were at Vanguard, we would incur fees. Plus, we would still be paying the management fees and expense ratios, et cetera, on them. So that being said, it is my opinion the best move for us prior to completing the transfer of assets with Vanguard is to liquidate all of the mutual fund positions at Wells Fargo and have it held in the core money market fund so that when Vanguard initiates and completes the transfer of assets, it's in-kind cash and there are no further fees.
Okay. And will there be any fees involved with Wells Fargo in selling that stuff?
To my knowledge, no. I will confirm that with Matt Lassard if the board, the slate of trustees agree with me that that is the best option. I could calculate what it would be at Vanguard. It would be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo shouldn't because we have a managed account. We're already paying a great deal of money for their services.
We are.
I'm having a little trouble keeping up here. You're going to
Okay.
liquidate all the mutual funds to do what with them?
Well, hold on.
So-
Let me make a motion. Let me make a motion and we'll have discussion, and the motion may be what you need for your minutes. So I
Okay.
make a motion that we allow Walter Durack to make the best decisions that he deems best in selling or transferring mutual funds to Wells Fargo, to Vanguard. That we authorize Walter Durack to make the decisions he deems best in selling and or transferring funds from Wells Fargo into Vanguard.
I'll second that.
You get that, Lisa?
Basically, I
Yeah.
think.
We're just going to authorize Walter to make
Authorize Walter to sell and transfer funds to Vanguard from
To sell
Wells
and
Fargo.
to sell and slash or transfer. To sell and or transfer.
Sell and or.
Because what Walters is saying is that it's that if we take all of it as it is right now and turn it over into Vanguard, we're going to want to change things around at Vanguard because some of the stuff we're in at Wells Fargo isn't very good. And changing it around once it's at Vanguard will cost us a lot of money. But if we sell it off while it's still at Wells Fargo and just put cash in it, at Vanguard, and then buy whatever we want of it, then we'll save that transaction fees. So some of
Will you just send me the motion? Can you just email that to me?
I absolutely will. I don't blame you. It's getting convoluted.
It's just, it gets very,
It's very convoluted. So anyway, do we have, any more discussion on this to just let Walter make the best decisions the decisions he deems best on this?
That makes perfect sense.
I think so. There's too many cooks can spoil the soup pretty quick. And Walter is very well aware of the fees and is doing his very best to make things as good as possible. So, okay. There's no further discussion. Let's have a vote. Lisa Rollins,
aye.
Dave Toth,
Aye.
Walter Durack,
Aye.
and Amanda Loud also votes aye. So that's been carried. Very good. Next on the agenda, I think, is our real reason for meeting, which is the statement of history and spending. Dave had a very, very good idea, and I'm going to get a screen share up here if I can find it. Had a great idea of since things are kind of coming to an end, and this could very well be, oh my gosh, dare I say, our last Scribner meeting. Dave suggested that we put together a statement, of kind of because we're getting some questions with the Mitchell group and kind of our final wrap up of the trusts, specifically Scribner, but I think others can be added to this as well because they're similar. So Walter wrote this out as a place for us to begin. I don't know that the statement needs to be that long. So this is when we're going to kind of work this up together, keeping an eye on the time because at 6:20 we need to get off because the planning board has it. So the current slate of trustees have access to investment performance of the fund. I think this might need to say Scribner Fund. I'm just going to, Scribner Fund. Dating back to 2005. Since that date, the initial investment of $173,452. I don't know if you would say initial investment. The initial investment of the trust was like $40,472 or something like that. So since that date, the balance, I think the balance maybe, or I
guess you could, since
value on that, an investment. How's that sound? The value of the trust on that date there in a brokerage account, Wells Fargo Advisors has gained $75,695 at an average of 2.9% return on investment annually. In the same period, the former trustees withdrew $140,720 at an average 5.4% of the fund's principal balance annually. In effect, withdrawals, and this, I'm just getting it to where we start talking about it. Withdrawals were made from the fund at a rate of twice that of the return on investment. And that was what my thing. I mean, I didn't know the exact numbers. I could just tell by the town reports that it was being overspent, that it was going down really fast. So maybe the current trustees The current trustees inspected the investment policy, reviewed the investment policy.
Reviewed, right?
Yeah. Reviewed the investment policy developed by the former trustees and found that there was no performance benchmarking in place, nor were there any limits on spending. Nor was there any limit on spending no more than a certain percentage of the principal balance at a given calendar year. It's not great English, but it does cover what the issue is. For instance, common investment advice given to those relying on investments for income is to spend no more than 3% of the investment value annually. Okay. On spending no more than a certain percentage of the, okay. Further inspection of the investment performance yielded that investment positions were set to automatically reinvest dividends and capital gains received in the position from which they were derived rather than be deposited in a highly stable and highly liquid money market fund. Okay. Further inspection of investment performance indicated that investment positions which were for the benefit of certain town, what is it going to be? You're a town, like the library is a town. It's not a town committee. It's a town
Entity.
I like that.
I don't know if that's correct, but
Which were for the benefit of certain town entities were set to reinvest. This is because I'm old. I can't take a split infinitive. We're set to reinvest dividends automatically.
Dividends and capital gains automatically.
Oh, there you go. Dividends and capital. Dividends and capital gains automatically.
further inspection.
Automatically. I think we could probably get rid of this, received in the position from which they were derived, okay? Rather than they were set to rather than to deposit. To deposit in a highly stable and highly liquid money market fund.
Rather than to deposit them.
There you go.
Or, yeah, or these. Yeah, okay.
Okay. When capital needed to be raised for operational obligations, it appears the trustees elected to liquidate all or a portion of a position in order to raise those funds. Liquidation may not have sought to maximize investment gains or minimize. Yeah. I think that maybe that should be a separate point. Okay, so let's look at this. What do you all think? This is true, you know, as we've looked at, and Lisa, you haven't looked at none of the other 9 trusts aren't looking any better in the town of Ashland. Okay, Scribner is pretty indicative for everybody.
Well, it was basically the same trustees, so.
So the reason some of this is in place does not apply necessarily to Scribner, but they were all overspent, which is what the first paragraph says. And they were all underinvested. This is still, the second paragraph is still talking about a limit on spending. I like to have it say something about fees incurred in investments, and I'd like it to have something to say about like investments were not maximized or something. Well, I guess I want to be careful about that because some of that stuff Wells Fargo just scared me to death. It's like 97% equity and 100% equity. There was no diversity. Maybe I think that something like that needs to be stated. What do you all think?
Yeah, I think we need to make it clear that there were a number of problems with the investments.
So let's look at this second paragraph. The current trustees reviewed the investment policy developed by the former trustees and found that there was no performance benchmarking in place. I think that's a good place to start talking about that. Walter, why don't you help here? Because this is going to be where you're going to, like, you know, I think we should say something like Scribner, the Scribner Trust, as well as other trusts.
Well, all right. So one thing I want to make clear by this statement we're making, are we talking about just the Scribner Trust, or are we talking about all trusts? Because it seems like we're going back and forth between talking about just the Scribners at the beginning and then getting more general as we move through it. So I just want to clarify.
Well, I think that the problem is that what we saw with Scribner, as I said, was pretty much across the board with the others.
Right, but your introductory paragraph talks about just what we looked at with the Scribner fund. So if we're going to just, you know, because we looked at all of them, but if we're only going to talk about Scribner, then we should only talk about Scribner.
Well,
in
Dave,
this statement.
What do you think? Because you did that presentation before the BOS and talked about in our investment policy and in light, and we wrote investment policy in light of what had happened.
I think since we're the Scribner trustees, we should only talk about the Scribner Trust.
Okay.
Yes, I think so too.
That's really big. That's really the main problem. If I were going to lay this out, I would begin by stating what we feel the problems with the investments were, or we identified a number of problems.
Hold on just a second. I've got to tell Jack that he needs to, Jack, or you need to, he's connected to his audio. He's in the wrong meeting. He needs to wait. Jack, your meeting doesn't start. Your meeting doesn't start until 6:30. So Jack, you're in a Scribner meeting, which you're welcome to stay at. But your meeting starts at 6:30 and we'll be off by then. Oh, that's not very funny, Jack. How do I get rid of him?
What is this?
I don't know.
What's happened?
This guy is in our meeting and he is, I can't get rid of him. He's going all over whatever we have.
What?
Hold on. Okay, I just put him in the waiting room. Now, I don't know if I can get rid of this is the problem of what he has done. Let me stop my share. Okay.
Was he some hacker guy or something?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this all again. We're still here. We're still recording. It said Jack Orr. So let's see what I can see if I can share. Am I back to sharing things? Here we go. We're back to normal, right?
Can
you read this?
I can't. No, I can't see it.
I can't see the document.
No, I can't see the document. All I can see is the blue part of your screen.
Oh, for heaven's sake, something has happened. It had to do with that Jack guy coming in. Crud. Hold on just a second. Let me see who the host is. Am I no longer the host? Town of Ashland. Hide self, rename, aligned.
When I look at participants, I see 4, me, Town of Ashland, host, Dave, and Welda Durak.
It says that I'm the host. It says you,
Yeah.
Town of Ashland.
Yeah.
The thing is that this Jack Orr came in also and turned into the Town of Ashland.
Oh, so
Yeah.
he like hacked in or something
Something happened.
and then scribbled over your document.
Yeah.
I had red scribbles all over it.
Can you see it now?
Oh, I've got the document back. Now I can see it.
I can see it. Can you see it, Dave?
I can definitely see it, yes.
Okay, there
Yes.
we go. Okay, I just had to. There we go. That was interesting on the Zoom meeting. So let's see. I like the first paragraph because I think it's very to the point. I'm getting some bad feedback. Are you hearing me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. The current trustees found there was no performance benchmarking in place. Let's see.
You know, rather than trying to write this as a committee,
Yeah.
maybe you can send it to me, and I can put something together and send it to everybody to have you mark it up.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's a really good idea. Because you did such a nice presentation before.
Yeah, no, I would be glad to do that. I think we just want to identify the problem areas that we found so that, you know, the people reading this will have a better understanding of why the trust had to be sent to the lawyer at this point.
Yeah.
And let's try to just stick with the Scribner Trust on this one.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 'cause that's the most important part. And the key information is in the first paragraph there, where where you show that even though the fund only grew at 2.9% annually, they were spending 5.4% of it.
Right.
And obviously, that's not the way you operate a trust.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's an excellent idea. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will send this to you, Dave. I've got this as a Word document, and I will just send this to you.
Okay.
After you write this, how do we want to handle this now as a committee? Do we want to have another get together to review it and pass it and send it off to the BOS?
If you all read the draft and make corrections, then we can get together and I can incorporate the corrections, and then we can get together and do the final.
Okay, that sounds like an excellent idea. So I'll do that. We would be set to meet. So this is November. If I would ideally like to try to get this done before Thanksgiving. That's just me. You know, it could meet into December. I have a feeling things are going to go very slowly with the Mitchell Group.
Right.
Of the time of year this is. But speaking then just to Dave and Walter, we Scribner, we trustees of the trust funds told the BOS that we would give them a quarterly report, and that quarter would be in December. So I don't think we have a lot to say, but I think that we need to do what we said we would do. So I will also, I guess, petition Eli for a few minutes at a at a BOS meeting in December. I said that because this could tail end on that as well in December at that meeting. You know, we could also put on our second hat and say, here is the report. You know, we don't have to say much about it, you know,
Mhm.
but we would be there at the meeting when, you know, when it's, you know, it would be in their packet that came, you know, before the meeting. And it
Yeah,
might be, I'm just saying it might be nice that we were also there when they get it.
I think that's a good idea. We should probably develop a standard report form that basically says, I guess it's a quarterly report, so basically shows what the progress of each of the funds has been over the previous quarter. And
Yeah, yeah.
and list any transactions that we have done.
Oh, wow, that would be really nice. That
Yeah.
would be great. Walter, what do you think about that?
I think that's a smart idea.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll get this off then to Dave. Lisa, I will get you my motion for letting Walter do as he sees fit. And
Yep. That would be good.
yeah, and then I will petition Eli to put us on a December meeting. And our goal then, of course, as Scribners would be to have this done by that December meeting, just because we would have us there in another form, you know, to be there. So,
I will try to get this turned around as quickly as possible within the next day or two.
oh, great. Then, and then we'll just try for another quick meeting again in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Okay, well, goodbye, everybody. Oh, I don't necessarily need a motion to adjourn, but does anybody have any more Scribner business? Okay, well, I'll see you all in a couple of weeks then. Thank you so much for coming. Walter, thank you for putting this
Thank
together to
you.
get it started.
Sure.
We got our ball going and I appreciate it.
Thanks
Sure.
for standing outside in the cold all day yesterday.
Sure.